Hi everyone, Dr. Mario here with some helpful hints on how to use the enterprise version of Google Suite that Hartford Public Schools has available to us. One of the things that I'm going to talk to you about tonight is Jamboard. And Jamboard is an interactive whiteboard. That's how it was originally designed. There's two kind of versions of this. The first one is the original Jamboard that Google Suite came up with, and it's an interactive whiteboard. It was something that they envisioned as competing directly with a smartboard and something that could be shared electronically. So this is kind of a neat thing. But they've also added into their Enterprise for Education package this interactive app, which has been fantastic. I played with this for the last couple of weeks, actually used it in classes and found it to be something that I just love. It is just fantastic for collaboration. It's fantastic for presentation. It lets me do a whole bunch of stuff that I was struggling with using a variety of different presentation methods. So this is kind of really awesome. And I think once you see how you can use it and think about it a little bit, you might find it to be really radically changing your classroom presentation. So first thing about it, let's talk about setting it up and seeing where it is. So the first place you can find this, the easiest way to find this, is go to your waffle. So up here, upper right hand corner, come to your waffle, click on your waffle. Now I have this up here in my top section of my my apps. You may have to scroll down to find it. You can move things in and out of here, by the way, if you want to. It's easy enough to do. You just left click on the item and move it and move things up and back. It's pretty easy, but this little thing here, that is Jamboard. So when you click on Jamboard, it will open up all of the jams that you've been working on. And to get a new jam, the very first thing you do is come down here, this big orange dot with the plus sign in the lower right hand corner, and you click on that, and that'll give you a new jam. So the next thing I want to do is I want to go over with you just the features of the jam. One of the first things I like to do is rename it, make sure I have it for a specific purpose. So let's call this test 12.6 and click on OK. Now this will be named test 12.6, and if we look in our drive, for under recent, we should see test 12.6 as a jam just popped up here. So some of the features of this, of course you have forward and back, so undo and redo. You can zoom in, you can set the zoom. 200 is really high, 25 is really small. I like the fit 44. You can set a background to this, so there's a variety of things that you can use. If you want it to place things in here on a grid pattern, you can do that. You can have lines for writing in information if you wanted to. There's a graphed version, so you could put a bar graph in here or maybe show different things that way. There's a clay color, so it's a different color graph. And you have different color backgrounds. You can also import different images. I'm just going to bring this back to dots. And we have this neat feature here. So if you've done a bunch of stuff in here and there's a whole bunch of things going on, you can just clear, and that'll wipe everything out that's on here. Down on this left hand side, this is your toolbar, and the top tool, if you click on this little arrow here, you can see you have a pen, a marker, a highlighter, and a brush. You also have different colors available for you. So you can click on any particular color that you want, and let's say you have the highlighter, you can highlight with that color. If you don't like it, clear the frame. Or, even better, let's say we have something that we wrote with our pen. Oh, we made a mistake, I went the wrong way. If I don't want to clear the frame and erase everything else that's on here, I can just use my eraser. This is just like in a smartboard. So you have the same tools here that you have in the smartboard, the pen, the marker, the highlighter, and the brush, and a bunch of different colors that you can use. This is a select. The pointer, this gets the pointer back, so if you're in the pen and you want to go back to select, you just click over here to get select. This is one of my favorite features of this, the sticky notes. This adds such a level of collaboration. It's just fantastic. You can tie together groups that are at home and groups in your classroom. If you're doing a synchronous teaching method, you can have pairs assigned or small groups assigned and assign them to a specific slide and then let them populate that slide with sticky notes. So let's say that we have an image we want to bring in. We can add an image here, and we can get an image from something from our device. We can do an image search. So what I'm thinking about right now is the beach. So I'm going to select this one and import it, and that's going to be my beach. So I could move this and turn it into my background, and I have a beach set for my slide. So now if I want to add sticky notes on the beach, let's say I add a sticky note. Well, before I do that, I would want to set this to the background. So I need to come up here to these dots and put it into an order. I think I have to actually have something else on there first. So let's put in a sticky note. My favorite beach. And save that. And I've got a sticky note. And I can put these on the front, and I can also order them. So I can send it back. I can bring it to the front. I can bring this to the front, for example. So that's kind of a nice feature of it. So you can have a nice little background and then have things overlay on top of it. Now the sticky notes are awesome because let's say that you wanted to put some text in here. There's a text box feature. And with the text box, we could say what I did on my summer vacation. And make that bigger. And then I can change the color on it up here. And I can change the size of it. Right now it's normal. I can make this the title and put it over top. And then I could invite my students to come in and post what they did on their summer vacation. So one of the things they can use, they could use sticky notes. I stayed home. That might be one of our responses. And we can change the color of the sticky notes. So you could assign sticky note colors to different groups or to different concepts. I went to the mall every day. Oh, didn't write. And then you can move these around any way you want to and have a interactive whiteboard where your students can post things or you can post things on there. There's also a feature where we can use shapes, so circles, boxes, triangles, diamonds, arrows, bar, half circle, and a rounded rectangle. So if you want to put that in, you do something like that, and then you definitely have to send it to the back so it's visible behind the item. You need to arrange the order. Think of stacking one thing on top of the other. You can use arrows, which are kind of cool. You know, this is my favorite one. I like that. And we'll put that to the back. Well, that's going to go all the way to the back. Well, you can change the order of those. And then the last thing that I wanted to show you here is the laser. So if you wanted to draw attention to something, you can draw attention to it. And the laser disappears. So it is kind of like a little laser feature. So text box, shapes, adding images, sticky notes, select. You'll find you're going to select quite a bit. And then if you don't like any of this, you want to get rid of it, you can clear the frame. Another feature of this that I really like is the expanded frame bar. So when I add a second page, I can add it there, or I can just add it here by going like this, clicking on create a frame. And I could assign this as group 1. And one of the things that I do with my, well, I found this is actually kind of a neat thing, is, oh, I see, because right now that's in white text. So we need to change the color of that to black. Okay. So I set up my groups on different slides. So I may say group 1 has 4 students in it, and group 2 has 4 students in it. And I can resize these quite easily. You notice I'm just grabbing things and pulling them to resize. So it's really easy to resize different things. I also like to do this. I like to put a chat box in and make that a normal size and just put something over here that's chat. And then students can come in, click on the chat box, and start asking questions of each other. And I'll show you in a jam that I have from another class how that works. But once I have this open, I can zip back and forth between the different Jamboards, the different slides, by doing something like this, or by opening up the frame, clicking on it, and then going into it. And I can see it there. So this is a pretty simple toolbar, pretty easy to understand. The text box, easy to understand this. We have some alignment options as well. That's pretty much it on using the Jamboard. It's really easy to include when you are doing a Google Meet. You can share your screen and include this as a Google Meet. Now, the open on a Jamboard, that's specific for using it as a one of the virtual TV-like Jamboards you would have in your classroom. So let's go over here to test. That's our test classroom, and see how we can use this as a collaboration tool. So let's say that I'm going to assign a new assignment, and we all know how to do that. Test assignment, and just say open the Jamboard. And follow the instructions, and one too many F's. Okay, and then I can add a Jamboard out of my Google Drive that I created. So I'm going to come over here and look, here's my test Jamboard, and I'm going to insert that. Now, students can view the file, or students can edit the file. And since I want students to be able to edit the Jamboard, I can set this up where students can edit the file. You might want to make a copy for each student if you're having them do a specific task that was, a single student task. But I like students can edit the file, and then I assign the assignment. So when students come in and they open up this assignment, what they're going to see is the Jamboard. Open the Jamboard. You click on this, and what it'll do, it'll take you right to the Jamboard that we opened up. So I'm going to show you, this is the same Jamboard here and here. So I'm going to show you one that I set up with a class earlier, and this was to go over how to use the design think process, which is something that we're learning to do in technology class right now. So you can see we have 10 different slides up here, and this was a slide where I started with the class with what problems are faced by first-year students, and I had the students tell me what some of the problems were. And then we took the next step and created a problem statement out of it. So this is our problem statement. And then we came up with some possible solutions. And this was early on a Monday, so we only really got one solution out of it because that was something that they went to pretty quickly. And once one person said it, everybody agreed with it. But when I asked what should the app look like, and you can pre-create whatever slides you want to, and then share that with everyone in the class by connecting it to the assignment. What should it look like? They started adding all sorts of different things. And what I had them do was use the sticky notes. So I have students who are at home and students in the classroom. It's a synchronous class. And they could both work on this at the same time. Once they came up with that, we worked together to formulate our next steps and what we were going to add in there. And then I assigned groups. So we had group 1 with 4 students in it, and we set up a chat. And they start to ask each other questions and say, I'm going to do this. I did that. I want to do this. And then they started adding items in from our list back there, a couple slides back, of the different things that they wanted to see. And for my next group, they did the same thing. And for each item that they added in, they had to explain what it was for and what purpose it was going to serve. Each of the classes came up with their own, or each of the groups came up with their own version of the app. So each of them could work. They could work on the chat at the same time. And then we went into what our next stage was testing. And the next stage after that is determining if it met the test. And in this case, we said we recommend moving forward with full production of the app. So that's a simple way of using that type of Jamboard. Another type of process for it, this is one that I have pre-made for a challenge. And if I go into this particular class, this is set up in my classwork for them. Not in that one, maybe in this one. No, it's not in that one either. Oh, it's for this one, and it has to be added to it. It's for challenge 7. But this is the Jamboard that they're going to come into, and I'll populate things in here for them to use. but it's a Jamboard that's already set up for the students, and they'll get permissions. So let's talk about how to share. One of the things I talked to you about already was how to share it by including it into your classroom. So if you have your classroom, and let's go back to our test class, I assign this as part of, I attach this as part of the assignment. So they got a copy of this when I created this particular assignment. And I can show you, if I go back into edit, that this was added in as something off of my drive. I can do the same thing, by the way, if I just want to put that in the stream. So if I was just in my stream and I wanted to just add something in the stream, I could add that Jamboard right out of my stream and say, okay, here is the Jamboard that I want to insert in the stream. So I can do this in both the stream or my classwork. So, excuse me. So, pretty much, sharing. Let's go back over here. So if I wanted to share this, let's say I have a teacher who wants to copy this, I can always go in and add someone as an individual group. So American Government 101 teachers, this could be a list. I can add as a student. Let's say I want to add just one student, and I can make them an editor, I can make them a viewer. So they can either look at this and do nothing, just be able to watch, or they can come in as an editor and it'll notify them and tell them what it is. I would send it, and then what they would see is in their Google Drive, they would see it under shared with me. So when something is shared with them, it'll be under the shared with me. And then they can just open it up and go right into it that way. The easiest way is to add it into your stream or add it into your assignment. Then anyone who's in the classroom already can go right into the Jamboard. So that's about it for Jams right now. I think once you start using this more, you'll find a lot of different ways where you can integrate it into your classes. I use it all the time when I'm creating, communication processes for students. If I have students who I'm not really, concerned about communicating one-on-one, then I'll have them, one of them set up a jam and share the jam with another. I can set up individual jams where I put 3 or 4 into a group, and then I'm in the group, and then I can go in and out of the jams as well. We recently used jams for students just for a communication tool to prepare for a presentation that they were doing. So they would have a means of communicating in a text format. So there's a lot of different ways you can do it and use it. Like I said, next up is going to be Google Rooms. I just started using those, and they're vying for the best with the Jamboard right now. I really like the rooms. They're real similar to the Zoom rooms, but they seem to be real easy to use. You can move students from room to room. You can condense rooms. You can have students set out in individual rooms, say maybe 3 here, 3 here, 3 here, and then bring 2 rooms together. Or you could take the 3 students who were in the first room and put them into 3 other rooms with other students, kind of like in a jigsaw. So that's coming up next. Hope you enjoyed this. If you have any questions, make sure you get in touch with me at Classical. You can always reach me through my Hartford email at minim001@hartfordschools.org. Have a great day, everybody.